Sego, Scano, and welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the World Congress for our presentation around the unique role of Indigenous Institutes in Ontario. My name is Rebecca Jamieson. I'm the chair of the Indigenous Institutes Consortium and the president of Six Nations Polytechnic, located at Six Nations of the Grand River in Ontario. I want to tell you a little bit about the Indigenous Institutes Consortium. We are an organization that was established in the early 90s, and we worked collectively and collaboratively to support the Indigenous Institutes in Ontario. We have 7 members at this time. We raise a lot of awareness and we increase the profiles of our institutes and our learners and communities through what we do through the consortium. And we support the development of our member institutes. One of the key accomplishments we've done collectively over the past decades was the development and the final passage of the Indigenous Institutes Act in 2017. This is really a watershed moment for us because this piece of legislation provides for the recognition of Indigenous institutes in Ontario as a pillar of post-secondary education. And it also is the mechanism whereby Indigenous institutes can offer certificates, diplomas, and degrees. Here's a little bit about the institutes.
It's the learning environment that makes our institution and other Indigenous institutions unique because it's very culturally supportive.
The way that we understand education, we approach it from the perspective of we're going to prepare you to be able to learn everything you're ever going to learn.
We're able to leave our community, but come back. We can come in and out during the semesters. And I thought that would be better than relocating my whole family.
Well, I think they really enjoy not just the cultural component, but I think the educational components of being in the classroom here. It adds to their development and how they learn.
You can actually know the teacher knows your name, they know you're here, they sit down with you, they make you understand, they want to make sure that you are going to succeed.
This program was a one-of-a-kind program. There's no other institution that offers Anishinaabe or Ojibwe, right? You know, being accredited with the credentials to, speak the language was kind of what I needed, I suppose.
We have place students with CUSW, with IBEW. Our success varies so much. And I think anybody that completes the program here is a success story.
My choice.
My choice,
My choice.
my path.
You've heard from some of our learners their experience with our institutions, and I wanted to reinforce the fact that they talked about being able to stay in community, and this map shows you the location of the member institutes of the Indigenous Institutes Consortium. And I want to point out that many of the institutions are serving rural and remote communities as well as urban and rural, both on and off reserve. So the physical reach of the institutions is very unique, in addition to the fact of the programming is very unique. In terms of the programming itself, we know that we are providing social and economic benefits to our learners, to our communities, and to the general economic and social well-being of Ontario. Our programs are grounded in culture, language, and knowledge because this is important in terms of Indigenous education for our communities. As I mentioned earlier, we have this whole spectrum of credentials that we're able to offer, and we make sure we position that in lifelong learning opportunities. We serve over 99 communities with a large population that we're serving. Some of our learners, may not have gone to post-secondary if it weren't for Indigenous institutes in Ontario. And we're very, very pleased that most of our graduates transition to very good jobs, often are offered employment before they finish their programs. In addition to delivering social and economic benefits, our institutions are also involved in advancing reconciliation with our communities. We're involved heavily with language revitalization and cultural revitalization. And we're working with non-Indigenous learners as well to ensure that there's understanding, cross-cultural understanding. And in that way, we're building relationships with those that we're going to be working and living with in this province. Language, as I mentioned, is a very, very pivotal focus of the Indigenous Institutes. It's part of the recovery of Indigenous peoples in this land, a very strong aspect of our identity recovery. And this particular slide is featuring Shingwak, and they're focusing on Ojibwe, Anishinaabe language, as are all of the other institutions involved. In particular, Six Nations, we deal with the Haudenosaunee languages. So each of us serving the unique needs of our communities. Social and community justice is another thematic area of programming among the Indigenous Institute Consortium members. If you understand the history of Indigenous peoples in this country, you'll understand why social and community justice is a strong area of need for services in our communities. And so we are very, very pleased that we have a large enrollment in these areas, and they are serving really, really important needs in our communities. We're really pleased also to be actively involved in healthcare, childcare, and long-term care. Especially most recently, we've been involved in the initiatives to train more nurses and PSWs, and who will work in their communities. We have unique capacities to build pathways to healthcare that link our learners to community health care employers. So I invite you to listen to Dr. Amy Montour. She's a Six Nations Polytechnic alum, talking about her experience at Six Nations Polytechnic.
Amy Montour, and I am a Haudenosaunee woman from Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. My mom wasn't a nurse, but she, did a lot of this work herself. And I had an aunt who was a nurse, and I thought, okay, this is a 4-year degree. I'm going to get this degree and have really good job prospects, and I'm going to be able to look after my children. That was the decision making at the time. So I ended up doing another year at Six Nations Polytechnic because I didn't have the science prerequisites to even apply for a nursing program. And that was an excellent year for me. We had very tiny classes. We had very engaged professors, and learning things like physics and biology are difficult enough. But to be able to learn that in our own community with our own people from our own perspective was just amazing to me. It clicked in a way that it had never clicked in the Western school systems.
In addition to being involved with healthcare and childcare and long-term care, many of our Institute Consortium members are involved in the skilled trades training. Everyone's quite aware of the skilled trades shortage in this province. So we are very involved across the province in this sectoral area. And once again, our students who are taking these programs are gaining employment. Oftentimes they're offered employment before they even finish their programs. So we look to expand these opportunities for our learners through the process of lifelong learning. In terms of economic growth and recovery, the institutes are positioned to really be huge contributors. We have a population that's growing faster than the rest of the population in Ontario. The Indigenous population is younger overall. So there's great opportunity here for our young people to be trained or graduate from post-secondary programs, to be able to be part of the workforce and to help to contribute to Canada's economy. And as I mentioned earlier, being recognized as a third pillar of post-secondary education in Ontario, we know that we have the capacity to grow and to continue to contribute even more.